as writing organizations distance themselves from acclaimed San Antonio writer Bryce Milligan. Multiple former students corroborate some of the allegations made against him. In a highly unusual move, the Bexar County District Attorney's Office refiles a previously dismissed DWI case against a local businesswoman.
How could the DA have found no probable cause for her arrest when the police officer found so much probable cause that the magistrate judge authorized the forcible blood draw?
And while Nevada's monopoly on sports gambling comes to an end, Texas may not be joining Vegas anytime soon.
One lawmaker said he doesn't see this happening unless gambling is legalized in the state, and that could be hard to get everyone on board.
I'm Chance Dorland with your Express Briefing for Tuesday, May 15th. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts. And get each day's top news and sports headlines delivered to your inbox at expressnews.com/newsletters. In the wake of accusations that acclaimed San Antonio writer Bryce Milligan acted inappropriately with a former student, multiple former students have come forward to corroborate some of the allegations made against him. Last week, Haley Lane Johnson, a former Milligan student when he taught creative writing in the early 2000s at the Northeast School of the Arts at Lee High School, claimed that as a 14-year-old freshman during the 2001-2002 school year, Milligan groomed her and engaged in improper conduct that include touching, verbal exchanges, and late-night phone calls and emails. The district says Milligan resigned in March of 2002 before he could be fired after an investigation prompted by a complaint by Johnson. Johnson, now 31 and living in New Mexico, says she went along with Milligan's behavior but was too young to consent to it, noting she didn't think she had the option of saying no to an authority figure. In a written statement last week, Milligan denied making sexual advances toward Johnson and characterized their relationship as strictly platonic. But now half a dozen former students say it was common for Milligan, then in his late 40s, to be flirtatious with Johnson and pay an inordinate amount of attention to her compared to other students, claiming the nature of their relationship was widely known and was the subject of rumors and gossip. Several former students say Milligan would touch Johnson in class and that they witnessed Johnson sitting on Milligan's lap. But by many accounts, Milligan was charismatic and inspiring to his students, many of whom looked up to the teacher. Over the weekend, Milligan resigned from the Texas Institute of Letters, an organization that honors and provides monetary support to Texas writers. And Monday, Literary Arts Center Gemini Inc. announced Milligan will not help moderate this month's discussion on San Antonio's literary history. Just days after an investigation by San Antonio Express News Metro columnist Brian Chasnoff, Monday, the Bexar County District Attorney's Office refiled a DWI case against local businesswoman Catherine Amato for a well-documented incident that took place last month. Despite a police report and affidavit detailing an officer's reason for arresting Amato, as well as a judge's assertion that the officer had probable cause for the arrest, in April, Nico LaHood's office had cited no probable cause for Amato's arrest as reason for the dismissal. But LaHood now says he was personally unaware of this situation, and once the matter was brought to his attention, his office conducted an immediate review of all evidence in the case that led to the decision to refile the drunk driving charge. Amato owns and operates multiple Subway and Ruby Tuesday restaurants in the area with her partners and is the wife of Charlie Amato, chairman and co-founder of SWBC and a Spurs shareholder, though the couple are reportedly in the midst of a divorce. I spoke with Express News Metro columnist Brian Chasnoff about the case for In Depth, our weekly San Antonio news and events podcast.
The officer had listed the reasons that he pulled her over and arrested her in the police report and also in another affidavit for a search warrant to draw her blood. And those reasons included she was swerving on the highway. She actually almost collided with the officer, according to the police report. She swerved into the lane on the highway that caused another vehicle to move over to avoid getting hit. After the officer arrested her, he found vodka bottles in her car and her purse.
My full in-depth podcast interview with Express News Metro columnist Brian Chasnoff is available now for free download at expressnews.com/podcasts. And Monday, the Supreme Court cleared the way for states to legalize betting on sports, breaking a long-time ban and creating a potential financial boon for states and the gambling industry. The AP's Jessica Gresco has more.
The law barred gambling on sports in most states. So that's football, basketball, hockey. Nevada was the only state where people could wager legally on the results of a single game. And the Supreme Court said that states can allow gambling on sports if they would like to. When this case was argued in December, obviously there was a lot of interest in it. And there was one firm that does research on gambling that suggested if the Supreme Court struck down this 1992 law, that 32 states would be likely to authorize gambling on sports within the next 5 years. So that means for anyone who wants to gamble on a game, it'll be a lot easier, the thought is, in the next coming years because states will decide to legalize it.
But despite the Supreme Court decision, San Antonio Express News columnist Mike Finger says don't bet on sports gambling coming to Texas anytime soon, noting that unlike states such as Mississippi, which has already passed legislation removing a state ban, or Oklahoma, which already has considered bills related to sports gambling, no such headway has been made in Texas. And that even if the Republicans in the state legislature change their minds about gambling, or if the Democrats somehow win control this November, the earliest we could see any legal sports gambling in Texas would be spring of 2019. However, some Texas politicians do support the change. Texas Democratic Representative Gene Wu has backed legalized gambling in the past.
I'm supportive of legalized gambling in the state. I think my constituents are as well. It could bring more jobs to the state. It could bring more income that's going out to Louisiana. It could leave a lot of tax revenue in our state that could be used for education, used for healthcare, and used for a lot of things.
Despite that, Wu is not hopeful it could pass in this legislature.
I couldn't imagine a scenario where the legislature would just legalize this aspect of gambling, but, and not touch other aspects.
And that's your daily San Antonio Express News briefing for Tuesday, May 15th. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts. I'm Chance Storland.